Medellin is the city in Colombia where Pablo Escobar, today's hero of this episode, grew up. Though it's quite challenging to label him as a hero after what he did, but for the sake of this episode, that's how I will refer to him. So today, I will recreate the Medellin Cartel Special 8's lineup, which consisted of Pablo Escobar, Gustavo Gaviria, Jose González Rodríguez Gacha, and Carlos Enrique Leder Rivas. Together, they will form the base through which we'll aim to dominate the Yayo trade through the Rimworld and revive the legendary Medellin Cartel. So, welcome to the episode Can I Beat Rimworld as a Pablo Escobar? Let's get started. Yeah, so at the beginning, I need to choose a place where I could establish a camp that could later transform into a solid base, so I opted for the mountains. However, after the last episode with the NCR and the repelling attacks from every direction, I'm slightly fed up. So let's kick off this adventure by forming the group we discussed earlier. To maximize immersion, I will imbue them with the traits that somewhat reflect their real-life personalities. So for example, I gave Pablo the bloodlust, which suited him in real life, just as I gave Carlos the master trait since he was involved in the trade within the cartel. I could talk about those characters for a few minutes, but that's not the point. Now it's time to start building the base. So I've landed on the planet, and all that's here are mountains, and to be honest, that's all I need for now, considering I plan to build the base entirely inside the mountain, with some space outside to plant some rice. It's alright. I need to ensure water and the possibility for my colonists to bathe, so they have some semblance of comfort even though they are sleeping under the open sky. I started building something in the meantime. It's supposed to be a warehouse, but inside there is a research table, and at the same time they will eat and sleep there. I don't know, for now let it be a barracks. But alright, such a barracks will have to do for now, because as quickly as possible I need to sort out electricity for them, so they have access to the holy grail of that video, concrete. While we were busy with all that construction work, I let Gustav out to hunt something, because our rations were running low and the rice hadn't been planted yet, but of course I wasn't paying attention for a moment and Gustav was attacked by a fox. So I sent someone more competent in this matter, so I sent Pablo with his rifle to kill that fox.
Bombas! 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 Bombas!
Yeah, so I gave up. I will get back on that fox someday, but now it's not the most important thing. What matters now is to finish these barracks and start building some defensive positions, because soon I could expect a raid from the locals. It's a beautiful thing to have just one entrance to the base, seriously. After that one episode of the NCR, I've come to appreciate it even more. I could make a kill box, but there is no fun in it when enemies just walk into the obvious slaughter in the single file. I prefer some old school defense. I even added spikes to the walls, considering that the first raids will probably come from the locals, so it will definitely come in handy. On the map, the various pieces of furniture were scattered around, so I decided to move them deeper into the camp, but along the way I noticed him. That fox, sleeping on the path to the furniture. I wanted to retaliate for that previous attack on Gustav, but then I noticed that the fox had been already shot, meaning I must have accidentally hit him earlier, so I didn't even want to waste time on him. I just left him there, and time would take care of the rest. With the completion of the defense construction, I decided to expand the base, especially by digging into the mountain to create a hideout within it. However, there was still a lot of work ahead of me with all that digging, and unfortunately only Gustav is suited for such a labor, so it will take some time, definitely. In the meantime, while Gustav was digging as the hole, which I will later name our home, it was the time to choose a name for the faction in this base, so there is no other option but to name this faction Medellin Cartel, although I've been thinking about the name for this base. And the best fit is La Catedral, which translates to the cathedral, the legendary prison that Pablo Escobar built for himself and where he served his sentence. It fits perfectly with the scenario here. Perhaps a small cabin for our guests who would like to experience a bit of my hospitality would be useful. So it's time to plan how this base inside the mountain should look. So I've put a lot of emphasis on it being self-sufficient, durable and resistant to any attacks, because I want to have some alternative if enemies break through or burn down that wooden wall. Comfortable, because no matter how you look at it, it will be home for my colonists. And lastly, it must be well organized, because it would be a nightmare if my colonists had to run from one end to the another constantly. And that's probably the recipe for the perfect base, or for a premium prison for my colonists. And there is a reason I named the settlement La Catedral. While digging a hole, I got attacked by the local tribe, but honestly, it was pathetic. I know it's an early game ride, but the guy went down after just 3 shots. But I guess the game thought that wasn't enough and sent me some weird drop, which at first seemed friendly, but until it spat out some bug that wanted to taste my colonist. So I quickly dealt with that and destroyed that drop pod to prevent it from spawning another insect. While expanding my base inside the mountain, I spotted some walls, and the first thing that came to my mind that it was probably an ancient danger, but I couldn't be more wrong. It was a freaking gigantic geothermal generator, and since I didn't have any power source at the time, guess what I did? Of course, I dismantled it for the parts, but after a moment I realized what I had done and corrected that mistake.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Okay, let's pretend nothing happened, but look, now pirates have attacked me, meaning they should be more developed than the tribal folks, right? Yeah, as soon as they appeared on the map, they started raiding, and unfortunately Gacha was outside the base at that moment and got surrounded by those 2 bandits. Luckily, one of the bandits forgot how to use a gun and decided to punch Gacha instead. The other pirate paid for it with his life, because he decided to chase Gacha all the way to the gate, where the rest of the crew was waiting to give him a warm welcome. Honestly, I love these AI enemies in Rimworld. At least they had something valuable in them. Later on, another tribe attacked me, but it's hard to call it an attack. It was more like a slaughter from my side. However, I managed to capture one of them alive, so I brought him to my guest room, but my new guest didn't want to cooperate, so we couldn't come to agreement. In short. Right after executing the prisoner, I received a new task, to rescue a person who was in trouble not far away from my camp, so without hesitation I immediately set out to help my future colonist. So I set out the journey without preparing much because the path to this person was very short, so I went with the flow, hoping that I wouldn't encounter any difficult situation on my way. As I thought, the area seemed to be very calm, at least there were no bandits inside, which was a big plus. However, on the way to the rescue the new colonists, I encountered a larve, literally setting up an ambush for me. Nevertheless, I just had to shoot it a bit and chase away those bugs, and then I could already take Angie to her new home. It hasn't been a day since saving Angie, and I received another quest from a trading caravan that arrived at my doorstep. However, this time it wasn't supposed to just a regular person in distress that I was supposed to help, but a prisoner. From one of my enemy factions. Nonetheless, it didn't change the fact that I immediately set out to help this prisoner named Smarty. Since I knew this wouldn't be just a shooting at bugs anymore, I stocked up on a rifle from the traders who came to me. Greater firepower will surely come in handy. So I set up another expedition, this time to rescue Smarty, assigning Pablo and Gustav to this task again because they are the best suited for this mission. The journey to this prison camp was very calm, and near the camp I realized that I hadn't given my colonists a supply of water for this journey, so they were already on the brink of dehydration, but I hoped that upon arrival they will find some water for themselves. Yeah, so I arrived at the camp and found a sentry gun and one person, and I thought to myself, alright, I will just cut off the power supply to the sentry gun and then I will surround and neutralize that enemy pirate. And looks like the game quickly showed me that it wouldn't be that easy.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
It's rewind time.
Finally, we managed to succeed this time without major losses. Now all that's left is to destroy that sentry gun, and we can take Smarty back home. As soon as I returned to the camp, I was attacked by the pirates, but luckily my fortification was strong enough that they were all killed before breaching the gate, and they stood no chance of inflicting significant damage on my colonists. Well, unless, like here, I came up with the brilliant idea of opening the doors for a moment. Yeah, I guess I felt a bit too cocky with those fortifications.
I'm in danger!
After the battle and that incident with the doors, I decided to start producing Yayo. In the meantime, Carlos fell into coma, but honestly, it's best for him. At least now I don't have to worry about him as much, and he has time to recover from the battle wounds. However, I noticed a significant problem in my colony, that morale kept dropping, and I can't blame them so much. Like, how much can you endure eating raw rice and sleeping under the open sky? But I needed a solution that would at least temporarily calm them down and boost morale. So I came up with the idea to drug them, more specifically with Yayo, and I encouraged Pablo to start producing Yayo, and at the same time I planned to stockpile it for a later trade with the other factions.
Get back to work! I said get back to work, blood! Get back to work! Did I say you could stop working? You might...
The pirates never seemed to learn. Another raid, and this time they didn't even touch me, to be honest. But on the bright side, it's my first major success. Because I will have a life prisoner right now, which means a lot to me, because one day he will become one of us. And with this beautiful accent of God mercy towards another person, I would like to conclude this episode. And in the next few days, or whenever I feel like it, the second part will come out, where I will finish Pablo's story and the entire Medellin Cartel. And now all that's left for me is to ask for your feedback and activity.
Please, I want to hit 100,000 subs by the end of the year.
And until the next time, take care guys. See ya.